just in Mexico. Why?
I always wanted to go to Mexico City. I remember when I was a kid, I really was obsessed with the idea of just going to that country. I don't know why. I think maybe it was the, oh shoot, yes, I am remembering now. It was the three caballeros, the three, I don't know how to translate that into English, but the Tres Caballeros film, that movie really impacted me about Mexico City. I was like, oh my god, this looks like a magical place. And then I think I was obsessed with the idea, and also Sesame Street, the Spanish version, was filmed in Mexico City, and so many telenovelas and all this culture that was coming at a very early age was in Mexico City. So I was obsessed with going to Mexico as a whole. The flag, I love the eagle, and in the film, the Three Caballeros, you can really see how they focus on Mexico City. It tells you the tale of how the city sort of started. It started in a lake where the eagle kind of positioned itself, and then they built the city around the eagle, and that was just like, what?
Hey, let us go. This is amazing. Okay, so now I'm going to the Frida Kahlo Museum. My friend is not coming with me because she already been twice, I think. So, but we'll see how it goes. The streets are so pretty in Coyoacán. Oh my god, I think I see it. I see the Frida Kahlo house. Here we go, baby.
This house is like a dream. I mean, you can really get lost here. It's such a unique place to really do art and, have a base, have everything that you wanted to do. Since I've been a kid, I've grew up in New York City in shoeboxes of apartments, and it is my dream for one day to have a house where I can have a garden and, plenty of windows. Nothing that is Americanized, so maybe I won't live ever in the US. But I do want a house icon like this. I really just want to have gardens where I can stroll and maybe read a book and then go have a coffee and then go write or do any other kind of art that I want to do. This is my dream.
So I'm here at the Frida Kahlo house. I just finished the tour, going through the museum, and it was just so breathtaking to see the whole exhibition and just learning more about her life. I always look back at the film with Salma Hayek, but it's like there's just so much. She touched on so many subjects and so many interests, and I think it's just so inspiring to draw from everything that you are surrounded, because that's what art is. And despite all her drawbacks, I think she was like a very, she always used creativity as an escape and as a way to heal. And even being in this house is so healing. The blue is so serene, it's so calming. The spaces of nature and everything, I think it encompasses her life, and I think she's still very much here, present. So it's very magical. This house is so pretty. I'm just looking at it. This neighborhood is so pretty. And it's so quiet and so peaceful. I feel like I could like spend a life like I could be a writer here or something, or just like I could really dedicate to art and just being tranquil. And let's see how it goes. We're gonna do a little food tour here in Culiacan. We just started with a matcha.
Basically, these markets are around all Mexico, and they have all kinds of foods, goodies, you name it, clothing, stuff for the kids, flowers, all that type of stuff. In this particular market, we are in Coyoacán still, which is where the Frida Kahlo Museum is, and which I visited earlier. And so Nina and I just decided to have a little food tour.
Entonces, pues bueno, no importa si es temporada de mango o no, vamos a hacer mango. Gracias.
Gracias.
So what you can see here is that the city is called Coyoacán. In these fountains you see two coyotes. That's not an accident. Coyoacán comes from the word coyote. Of course we had to take a little photo.
Una cosa muy española. Bueno, si quieren, pasen de vuelta, acérquense más tarde, lo que quieran.
En la Ciudad de México hay algunas iglesias that have Black Jesus. Those are the ones I like to go to because that is like Paris.
O pueden ser también horneadas, normalmente son fritas. La cosa aquí, bueno, aquí tenemos la vegetariana.
We've done so much eating today. Oh my god. Chapulín. The grasshopper. Did you like the grasshopper?
Se pone bueno el quince. Aquí. No, ¿en serio? Ah, bueno, sí. Pero el 15 a lo mejor es bueno porque es domingo. Más caro, quién sabe. Pero no, mi patrona dijo que a lo mejor nosotros no lo trabajamos. ¿En serio? Yo digo que va a estar bueno. Yo también pienso que lo pierdan. Son una tradición de Coyoacán, son buenísimos. Básicamente lo que van a probar son esquites, que es lo mismo que el elote, simplemente le quitan los granitos y lo hierven o lo asan. Aquí yo recomiendo el asado, Mayumi también recomienda el asado. Le quitan los elotes y solo lo hierven con un poquito de... ¿Qué le ponen? Epazote y chile de árbol. Epazote y chile de árbol. Bueno, ese es asado. El hervido es el hervido es el asado ya tiene como picorcito de chiquito, tiene con Nutella y no se les antoja. Es que no suena tan bien.
No.
De las fuentes históricas de Donohu y firman los tratados de Córdoba, fechado en el siglo XII, que corresponde a estas culturas judías sefardíes que vienen buscando dónde asentarse en el mundo, pues llegan a la zona de Andaluz. Y nosotros cuando viajamos, cuando cambiamos de residencia, no nada más viajamos con nuestra maleta de pantalones, de blusas, de calzones y de calcetines, también viajamos con nuestras costumbres alimentarias. Como pasa con los árabes cuando llegan a Puebla hace 100 años y nos traen sus tacos árabes que después se convierten en los tacos al pastor, pues viajan con sus maneras de comer y ya podemos encontrar en este documento, ustedes no lo entienden porque están muy lejos, pero aquí claramente dice salsa de nogada, pero sí está mencionado.
So here we went to this talk about chile de nogada, and this is a very typical dish that it's eaten in Mexico around this time of the year. So we went in September, so I think September is sort of like the last month, and that's because the ingredients are mostly available, I would say, during the summer and entering into the fall, autumn, and so it was a magical dish. I mean, I need to remember what I had because it was just like, it's just like this pepper filled with meat and picadillo they call it, and it has pomegranate seeds and parsley, and it has this sweet walnut sauce that makes it so good, so good. It was just a very fresh dish, you know, like something that, especially one of those days when you just don't want to eat something really warm, this is a very fresh dish, but also a savory dish that would fill you up. Mine was filled with soy meat because I'm vegan or vegetarian, mostly vegetarian on trips, but it was delicious. And there were different kinds of theories of how this dish came together, and even Mexicans today don't really know all the origins of how this dish came to them, but there are some two theories, and there's a theory that some people like to eat it capeado, some people don't like to eat it capeado, and there's this whole origin story of is the original chile de nogada eating capeado or no capeado. Capeado, I think it's sort of like a sauce they cover with, I think they fry it with this. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mexican friends, but basically the capeado has like eggs and flour. Basically, there's this whole controversy of like how the chile de nogada is eaten, and I have to say that most of the people that we met in Mexico City didn't like it capeado. Most people didn't want it capeado. Grutas de Cacahuamilpa is a very slippery place, but it's also a magical place. It has a lot of rooms. You keep walking and walking, and you're like, when is this going to end? It's endless. We were there for about perhaps 2 hours just walking inside the caves, and you can see all kinds of figures from lions to little kids.
En este salón, amigos, en 1959 se graban escenas de una película mexicana, la de Macario, el ahijado de la muerte.
So here we are in Grutas de Cacahuamilpa, and it's interesting to me because I became a fan of Mexican cinema around the 2020, around the pandemic, and so I started to watch a lot of the films going back in time, going to the Época Dorada, their golden age. And so I watched this movie called Macario, which is from 1960, and it's the first Mexican film to be ever nominated for an Oscar, and it was nominated that year for Best Foreign Language Film. But basically, the plot of this film, it's about Macario, and it brings a little bit of magic realism to it, and it's about Macario, who is this indigenous man who is very poor and lives with his family, and one day he wishes that, you know, he has a meal just to himself, so he can satiate that hunger. And his wife gets him a turkey that he's gonna eat all by himself. He takes it to, I believe, the forest, and there he encounters three figures: God, death, and the devil. And he ultimately decided to give the turkey to death, because death comes to everyone. Poor or rich, doesn't really matter. It doesn't discriminate. And death gives Macario the gift to heal people, but with the caveat that Macario cannot intervene if someone is going to die. If someone's going to die, death has taken that decision, and it should be intervened by Macario. However, there's this kid around town who is really sick and who Macario really wants to save. Macario tries to trick Death, and ultimately Death brings Macario to this cave, which is filmed in Grutas de Cacahuamilpa, and that's where, you know, you see all the candles lit around the cave, and each candle represents the life of a person, and if that candle goes off, the person goes off. So I thought it was just so poetic, and also it reminded me of that movie Hercules. I think there's sort of like a similar concept there going on with the candles and people's lives. Although maybe that was, now that I remember, I think it's a threat. I don't know, maybe there was some kind of inspiration going on from the filmmakers of Hercules looking upon Macario. But that's a conversation for another day. The tour guide points out to all these like rocks that have different forms. They look like lions, they look like little kids. And honestly, good job. It's such an imagination exercise, because you really have to open up your mind to see all these kinds of figures. It's kind of like when you will look at the clouds and try to find different forms. Same thing here, same thing. I don't know if people do that anymore. They should.
Una periferia de Máximo. ¿Cómo le dice?
ready?
Oscar. Ya no. Pepe.
So here we are in the town of Tasco, and this town is well known for their silver. So I actually got to buy a silver ring that I still wear to this day. It's been a year, folks. But yes, very beautiful town, although not a lot to do other than buying silver.
Okay. You should go down.
Okay, voy.
You ready for some water?
Sí, claro. Por eso me tomé toda mi botella de agua.
Oh, really?
Y pues estas levaduras ellas se encuentran inactivas. Esta da la vuelta.
Salud. It's good. It's good.
Agarran. Es lo que nos dijo. El sabor que nos dijo, creo.
And this is the town of San Sebastián de Bernal, which is located in the state of Querétaro. And the views are incredible, and you can see the Peña de Bernal, which is, it seems, the third highest on the planet. It reminded me of Medellin and the Piedra del Peñol. And so this view is breathtaking to see from anywhere around the town. Again, there's not a lot to see, but it's a cute, day trip if you ever really wanted to go out of the city for a while, just for like a day trip. Mexico City is a place well known for being politically active. I mean, if you go back in history, there's the famous or infamous Noche de Tlatelolco, the protest that gathered many students to go against the PR, which is the party that sort of had control of Mexico for over many years, many decades, and which projected economical growth despite the inequality that existed and still exists. On October 2nd, 1968, thousands of students gathered demanding for political freedoms, end to repression, and autonomy to all their institutions. Because the Olympics were about to start, the government was afraid of a PR catastrophe. But what they did was way worse, because 300 people or more died as a response from the government. If you're a fan of chocolate and want to know more about it, I recommend going to this Museo del Chocolate, especially with a tour guide. They'll give you a comprehensive history of how chocolate became the candy we love today. Honestly, this is gonna sound really ignorant, but I didn't know that chocolate only grew around the equator of the planet. So nothing in the US, the Western world, Europe, and nothing in the Southern Hemisphere as well. So legend has it that when the colonizers first came to America and they were introduced to chocolate, it was through a bitter drink that tastes nothing like we know today. This drink had roasted cacao beans in water, chili peppers, and it had spices like vanilla and something else, which achiote? I don't know what that is. In fact, Emperor Montezuma II offered Hernan Cortés this drink in golden cups when they were in Mexico City, or what is now Mexico City. And in fact, Montezuma used to consume this drink frequently for strength and vitality. When Hernan Cortés took the cacao to Europe, they didn't really like this bitter drink, but they added sugar and it became what is the recipe now today. It's interesting to me that when we think about chocolate, we think about Europe. I mean, I wish I think about Mexico or, you know, some country in Africa, but I don't. I think about Switzerland and how their chocolates are some of the best in the world. And what I know now from this museum is that, you know, cacao grows mostly in the equator, but Europe has perfected the processing of chocolate, and that's why they are considered some of the best ones. But for me, I'll try to have Mexican and Peruvian and Ethiopian and Ugandan chocolate, as they are now processing their own cacao beans, as they should. So we were talking earlier about protests and being politically active, and in this museum, which is called Sod Maya, and it's a free museum for everyone, which is incredible. It's like the Met of Mexico City. And in this museum you'll find a lot of the ancient civilizations, art and artifacts. Honestly, I'm more drawn to contemporary art, and here you'll also find a lot of art from the famous Mexican muralists like Diego Rivera, Jose Clemente Orozco, and my favorite, which is David Alfaro Siqueiros. He was one of those painters who believed that art should be accessible to anyone and not just the elites.
Pretty excited. I'm excited. Gracias. Yeah, there it goes. Look over there.
This is your first time.
Yeah, it's not yours.
Because ideally I want us to be like this. But
allá está la pirámide.
¿De qué?
Esa. O that one, I don't know.
La velocidad de elevación, esa velocidad que estamos viajando en la dirección, la altura después de esperamos a los 7000. Sí, vamos a subir hasta los 9000 pies, 9100. Cualquiera de las otras.
Terminó la construcción, era enorme, ¿eh? Sí, falta todavía. ¿Qué pasó? No, hombre.
Vamos a buscar tocar tierra después de esta construcción, pendientes con su posición de aterrizaje. Recuerden que es hacia allá. Security position.
¿Para allá o mirando para allá?
Mirando hacia acá.
Ah, bueno.
Toquen tierra en 3, 2.
Un aterrizaje. Hola. Perfecto.
El aire caliente es más liviano, está saliendo por ahí. Excelente.
Sí, lo grabaste. Eso es. No quería gritos.
No ha tapado nada.
You're alive.
Vamos a hacer Voy a servir un poco y antes de chuparlas.
todo.
Voy a servir y antes de chocar las copas, vamos a compartir una pequeña oración estando agradecidos que rezamos con vida.
Amén.
Muchas gracias.
Bien rico.
¿Quieren más?
¿Lo quieres?
Pues la oración dice más o menos así. Dice: el viento nos ha dado la bienvenida con suavidad. El sol nos ha acariciado con sus cálidas manos. Hemos volado tan bien y tan alto que Dios se une a nuestra alegría y nos devuelve a los adorables brazos de nuestra Madre Tierra. Muchas felicidades. Salud.
Salud. Salud, Nina.
Salud, salud. Salud a ti.
Teotihuacan is in the northeast of Mexico City and it's about 30 miles. It's very reachable, for a day trip. And what's interesting about this pyramids that have stood the test of time is that they were found on the 14th century by the Aztecs. And it seems that they were abandoned between the years of 550 to 600, as the places and elite structures were deliberately burned and destroyed while common housing areas were left mostly untouched. So it seems like there was an uprising of the lower classes against the ruling elite. Teotihuacan also had problems of severe droughts, overpopulation, and also food shortage, which might have contributed to the social unrest and eventual downfall of this city. I briefly want to mention Amores Perros, which is a movie by Alejandro González Iñárritu, and it takes place in Mexico City. And it's an interesting addition to our theme that we sort of been discussing, that I have honestly just discovered as I was editing this video, about the coexistence of different social classes in the city. And sadly, there's a dark side to every single city, and Mexico City doesn't escape that, and that is corruption, crime, violence, and perhaps ethical and moral compromise.
La decoración, sean observativos en eso, les digo, más adelante vamos a tener oportunidad y ustedes verán las diferencias. Y ahorita que salgamos, ya platicamos un poquito del lugar.
So here we are in Tlaxcala, the smallest state in Mexico City, and we made a stop also in Minas de Tiza, which is the series of calcite caverns located near San Mateo. The mineral, used in products like cement and chalk, was extracted by workers in the 1960s and 70s. Today, the mines remain mostly abandoned, and they're mostly used for getting lost in those mazes or getting a photo. Wow. And here we are in the city of Tlaxcala, where they're gonna show us this beautiful mural and other things like
empezamos de derecha a izquierda. A ver, el que está viendo aquí no es él.
and also a Plaza de Toros and a church that has a lot of gold. I honestly cannot remember any of the history. I apologize. There is a rainbow. The church is the Basilica of Our Lady of Ocotlan. So the gold that I was able to see in Tlaxcala comes mostly from colonial mining in Mexico, often from Guanajuato and Zacatecas. Okay.
Wow. Really good.
They're so good.
But like,
Yes, baby.
what was that?
I'm just talking to myself.
Oh, you're just... So this is the Eagle. Yes, that is the salsa.
You definitely have to come and try these tamales in Doña Emi, especially the sweet ones. You're in for a treat, and they have a little bit of cream cheese inside, which is kind of interesting because apparently Mexico loves cream cheese, and this is a new thing that I was not aware of. But please, please, please come. And near Doña Emi, there's the famous Roma house, which surprisingly I found the facade, you know, a little bit unkept. I don't know if Alfonso Cuarón did some kind of digital cleaning of you know, the facade a little bit, but it looks a little bit different. Not that I care, honestly. I still found it fascinating to be walking around the Roma house. So here we have Museo, which is inspired by a true story of the 1985 theft of 104 pre-Hispanic artifacts from the National Museum of Anthropology. The film follows Gabriel Garcia Bernal's character, who is looking for excitement and financial relief, and he plans to execute the heist on Christmas Eve. Initially, they manage to steal all the artifacts without much difficulty, but their attempts to sell the stolen items led to encounters with art collectors and criminals, highlighting themes of cultural heritage, identity, and complexities of ownership. It's also interesting to me that here I am looking at El Penacho, and just a year ago I had seen the real one in Vienna. But what the fuck is doing in Vienna? Why does Mexico have a replica? And I explained this in another video that probably will come out at some point. But holy fuck. And there's an interesting episode from Radio Ambulante, which is available in English and Spanish, which I'll link below, talking about how Vienna refuses to give back El Penacho, the actual one of Montezuma, to Mexico. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, colonialism 2.1. So we got to do a little graffiti or street art tour in Roma, and one of the arts that really caught my attention was Gabriel Macutela's studio. His home studio not only serves as a creative workshop but also as a public-facing canvas. In fact, the tour guide was telling us about how the exterior is used as a mural against war. And I remember that she talked about what an incident that happened about one of the graffitis, I guess, in which they mentioned Palestine, and just in front of it there is a synagogue. That's a little bit too on the nose maybe, but I also don't hate it. Xochimilco is deserted really early in the morning, so if you really want to go and avoid the drunk people and the mariachis and the street vendors, although you might want to buy like a corn or something, but if you really want to avoid all the people that are going to be boarding these vessels, come early.
Igual mira, si vas a sentarte, la parte de enfrente va a ser esto, para que te sientes y vas a ir viendo la vista hacia acá.
Okay.
Gracias.
Gracias. Damn.
It's not bad. It's cheaper than the street art tour.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I need
Okay.
for the whole paseo, but that's like it doesn't include food. What?
For us? Both?
Yeah, for the private boat tour.
So, another legend has it is that Don Julian Santana Barrera was a man who lived alone, and he was in the Xochimilco canals, and one day he found the body of a young girl who had drowned under mysterious circumstances near his island. This island is artificial, and shortly afterwards he found this doll floating in the water, and he thought it belonged to the girl who died. So to honor her and her spirit, he hung the doll on a tree, and over the years he kept adding more dolls that he would find in the canals that were discarded, abandoned, and there was a point that the island was just covered with hundreds of decaying, broken dolls, kind of like Toy Story 1 vibes. Anyway, so the narrative of the legend is that Don Julian believed that the dolls were possessed by the girl's spirit, and perhaps by other wandering souls. The chilling part is that Don Julian died of a heart attack in almost the exact same spot where he found the drowned girl decades earlier. And I believe Lady Gaga just filmed a music video with Tim Burton for the show's second season Wednesday. Xochimilco has also been the setting for one of the most recognized films of the golden age of cinema in Mexico, and that is Maria Candelaria, who had just exited Hollywood because she had just passed her prime. Side note, I will say that this film is about prejudice, social exclusion, and racism, and Dolores plays an indigenous woman, and as you might know, she is not one of those. So take it with a grain of salt, and remember that the times were differently when they were casting, especially because Dolores was such a bankable star. Even if she had just exited Hollywood, she was still coveted by the film industry, just in a different country. The movie was filmed mostly in the Xochimilco canals, and it became the first Mexican and even Latin American film to win the grand prize at the Cannes Film Festival, which is the award that became later the Palme d'Or. And we continue to explore David Alfaro Siqueiros' work. This one is a mural that is in Castillo de Chapultepec, or the castle. The title of this painting is Del Porfirismo a la Revolución, from the Porfirismo to the Revolution, and it was painted between 1957 and 1966. The mural focuses mostly on the fall of Porfirio Díaz's dictatorship and the rise of the Mexican Revolution between 1910 and 1920. It covers several large walls and ceilings in the castle stairways. It has unusual angles and almost at 3D-like effects, making it seem like the figures burst into space. They're with us still, after all these years, after all that sacrifice and pain that they endured for the nation that Mexicans have today. The mural highlights the oppression of workers, peasants, and indigenous people under Diaz, and contrasted with the uprising in the revolution. The mural remained unfinished, but it is still breathtaking to just go and see with your own eyes. Definitely take your time to take it all in. So what you're seeing here are scenes from the movie Bardo, and I'm not gonna lie and say that I enjoy or very much understood all this film. It's a dreamlike journey about identity, exile, and memory, very autobiographical in some way from Alejandro González Iñárritu. But I really love the cinematography, and it's filmed in Mexico City. I mean, as you can see here, they film in the Castillo de Chapultepec. I think what's interesting about these scenes in the castle is that, you can see a lot of how Mexico, the past, is still very present in today's society. It still belongs to the collective memory. All these historical events that once took place in this setting are still part of the collective memory of the Mexican society.
So this restaurant is called Expendio de Maíz Sin Nombre, and it's a very special restaurant because you show up, you cannot make a reservation, and you don't know what they're gonna bring. They don't have a menu. So you start with whatever they're serving at the moment that you show up, and they ask you, well, the waiter will ask you, do you want to eat more? And you say yes. So they'll bring you the next one, and then 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 the next one, until you are full. But please do leave space for dessert. My final thoughts on Mexico City is that it's an incredible location to go to because you can also do day trips to a lot of the locations around the city. And I left and I found myself still wanting to go to a few museums or try more food. There's so much that didn't even end up in this video because, as you see, it's really long, but I just felt like this city is endless with discoveries to make, and it's such a magical city. I honestly will live here if it wasn't because the city right now is going through a major problem with expats, especially Americans, who are overpricing everything. So I don't want to be part of the problem, but I will say that I will come back and hopefully explore the city a little bit more. It was great going with my friend Nina because she has been to Mexico a few times, so she really knew a lot of the culture. I came kind of blind. I am Latino, but I don't really know anything about Mexico culture or the differences or even in the language, the food. You know, I did grow up loving Mexican food in Queens, which is like, people tell you that you can't find really great Mexican food in New York City, but Queens is where it's at. Anyway, but aside from that, I don't really know much about Mexico as a whole. So going to Mexico City, I felt like I learned so much about the history, but also got to taste the city, got to see the city, got to smell the city. I felt like all my senses were on when I was there. So definitely go, but don't stay for too long. Don't become a problem. That's my only recommendation.